Hello everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough. If we could start off by just letting me know if you can hear and see me okay, that would be wonderful. And we're going to begin a little bit of a hobby hangout. So, I have had quite the last few couple of days going on all manner of adventure. So this is just a chance to just decompress and hang out with people that I really like. And I see I got Shingus, which is a fantastic username. In the chat. Here, my boy. Here, got a little stuck. Here we go. Pop him off. So basically, in like 2 days, I have a good priming weather day coming up where it gets to be like 36. So I am just kind of getting everything that I can built and ready for it. So here's one Knight Relictor, which I'm very excited about. He's already primed, but we have the 2 units of, or I guess 10-man squad if you want to, Vigilors. I'm also going to be building the Centaur Avatara from the Conquest line of miniatures. It's like a heavy cav. It's pretty cool. It's like this like weird organic construct. So he's a Centaur, obviously. He has 4 arms. One is just an arm that goes into like a lance at the elbow. He's carrying 2 swords, and then the last arm is kind of like a stump that's mounted into a shield. Like he's literally designed for war. Super rad. And I'm going to be painting those up and doing a giveaway with them since I no longer play Spire, but I have them and heck, why not? So that is what I am up to. So let's bust out the parts for these bad boys. And yeah, I just like doing live stuff because it's a great way to kill some time. Okay. Oh, see, chat's waking. Oh, man. Tipped over my trash can. Of course I did. Thank you so much, Betsy. That's super kind of you, buddy. Hey, and as someone who tossed a coin to their YouTuber, you get to choose a chat topic. Like I said, always say whoever does that gets to choose what we're chatting about. Let's see. Royal Mitt. Don't you use any mini holders like corks or well, I'm just building now, so I wouldn't use them to build. But as far as painting goes, I actually have on order a brand new set that I'm excited to try. From basically, I'm getting a prototype from a company that I've worked with in the past, so I'm excited to try those. Little secret for you. On the whole, I generally, not really. No particular reason. I just don't need them. I don't know what else to say. Oh man. Let's see. So we're looking for horse parts. Hashtag horse parts. Let's see. So we've got 36. That's not even near the number. 7. Okay. I was looking at the wrong number. I was looking at the number for the barding and not the actual horse part. I was like, 36 is not even anywhere near the horse. Let's see. That's hella cool. I need to get into Conquest ASAP. Oh yeah, I like it quite a bit. In terms of having a really good company support a miniatures game and one that communicates with their clients, I have to say it kind of oscillates between Parabellum and I do know, even though I don't play Infinity, I know those guys are very, very cool with their community. But as far as games that I play, Parabellum is bar none the best company to work alongside, because you can just hang out with them in their Discord. It's just like all the employees are in there just chilling. You're like, huh. So I could just like walk up to the guy who made the game and is like, hey, why'd you make it this way? And then he'll tell me. And you're like, oh, that's pretty sweet. Oh, man. Okay, so I need 36 and 35. Let's see. So they're plastics, I will say. If you get some of the older kits, some of them can be a headache. But I will say they have really outdone themselves with some of these newer ones. 35. I passed it, didn't I? I did. Okay. There we go. Now, part of it, too, is, like, they have options that they don't necessarily tell you are options. So, for example, there's, like, 6 different types of these, like the barding that goes on the back of a horse kind of a thing. There's a whole heckin' ton of those options. So you just kind of choose what you want, but they don't necessarily broadcast that it's a choice. Let's see. Warhammer Willie, I'm already painting up my Celestin Prime, and then lightning strikes. And here's Doug. There you go. Boom. Yeah, you know, I heard the rattle of a paintbrush inside a paint jar, and I was like, someone needs me. Okay, so what am I looking for? I'm looking for 20s when it comes to those. I don't know about you guys. I'm one of those people. I love to cut everything out off the sprue just for a few steps. Like, for example, these are technically 3 steps, but they're all just assembling the bottom of the horse, and there's no way to confuse their parts. I like doing that and then going back and then putting them together, getting whatever that builds together, and then just kind of letting it sit for a second while I go on to the next part. So I'm going to build the horse body and then put it off to the side and build the top part. Let's see, 15. That's not it. Where are you? And I apologize. I don't typically enjoy building models on the stream just because I tend to, have to look away because I don't want to cut myself. So if there's a delay in answering a question or I miss something, please just go ahead and ask again. I am not ignoring anybody. Let's see, we're kind of missing a front breastplate. Oh, is this it? Yep. Spetsy, is there any reason for the Knight Relic door? Yeah, sort of. I mean, basically, the reason is a prayer cult translocate, as any Stormcast player can attest. So I got him because at the time I didn't actually own any priest models. And then shortly then, of course, after I got him and got him primed, I came into a great deal with a Lord Relictor, which is, if you don't know, one of the models that came in the OG Stormcast set. And he's been built, but I am thinking about... Okay, so he's built, but not primed or painted or anything. I was thinking, before I do that, I really want to change his reliquary he's holding. So he's got that big... mamma jamma dead body toting thing of nastiness that he's got, where it's just this huge monument he's apparently carrying. Never been the biggest fan of that, if I'm super duper honest with you. So I'm gonna try to make something cool. The coolest thing I saw, and I'm gonna kick myself because I can't remember his name. One of my opponents at Holy Havoc, who I know he does a whole lot of stuff with NashCon, and he does a lot of 3D printed terrain. Somebody in the chat, if you know who I'm talking about, please give the name. For some reason I say Matt, but that doesn't sound right. Anyway, he basically took the shield from 40k Shield Guard veterans or something like that. They have this unit of a Space Marine holding this beautiful looking shield kind of down at the side of their hip. And he took that shield and made it the banner or the reliquary or whatever it is that the Lord Relictor is holding. And it looked way better. So I'm kind of thinking of doing something similar. Not necessarily that shield, because I don't really have access to anything like that. But I do have a whole bunch of stuff I can use. I'll kit bash something together. I kind of want something justice themed, because part of the thing with the Knights Excelsior is they're always, everything's very black and white, right? You're with us, against us, good, evil. That's just the line. and ne'er shall we cross. And so I was like, you know, something with like scales, like justice scales, if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that kind of thing. So anyway, yes, that's a long way of answering your question. It was to get me a priest, and then everything on top of that was just like, oh, okay. Well, now I have a priest, and I can do cool stuff with the relictor. Neat. Oh, we got a whole bunch of folks since I last looked. Okay, let's see. Aside from miniatures and tabletop gaming, what other hobbies are you into? I've recently gotten into miniature gaming as a whole, but I have my deep roots in fighting game culture. When you say fighting game culture, do you mean like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, those kinds of... Obviously, there's a whole bunch of variations of those. My favorites... well, I haven't played any of those kinds of games in frickin' ever, but... The last one that I played, I think I was in high school, so it would have been like 2007. It was a Dragon Ball Z one, and it was the bomb. And it took a while to get a hold of the controls, because you can move like vertically, because obviously the Dragon Ball Z guys can fly, but took me an inordinate amount of time to master that. When I did, I was like, I feel like a god of war. I'm trying to learn Tekken 7. Okay, yeah, so that kind of game. Okay, right on. That's super cool. As far as other things I'm into, okay, I'm gonna list off Doug's passions. Let's see. I've been slowly trying my hand at game design, which I do consider to be a different hobby. Much in the same way that I do consider YouTubing to be its own hobby, because there is this whole world. You have a lot to learn if you want to just try to make it work for you. There's a lot that's involved in there. As far as like more traditional hobbies, I really like reading about history, like particularly World War I history. I'm rereading The Guns of August right now, which is a fantastic book. Yeah, I guess that's probably the closest thing to, you know, quote unquote traditional hobby. What else? Oh, my wife and I, like, I like some video games. I'm not a huge gamer. I tend to play stuff after it's been out and people are done talking about it. That seems to always be where I land when it comes to did I get this wrong? No? Looks like I have two left sidebar things. Let's see. No, there it goes. So like I've been enjoying lately, because we just got a Switch recently, so we could travel and have game stuff when we go see family. And so really been enjoying like Breath of the Wild. That's the big one. Honestly, I'm always like I said, I'm always like super behind when it comes to video games. Like, hey, does anybody want to talk about, you know, Simpsons Hit and Run? And everyone's like, that game's been gone for a long time, Doug. Yeah, I just discovered it having a PlayStation sale. It's pretty cool. You may not have heard of it. It's like, I didn't hear about it because it came out before I was born. Like, let's see. See if I can prop him up some angle. There we go. Got a Vigilor holding him up. And let's get the horse part done for the last guy too. Oh, they only give you instructions on 2 of them? That would be super funny. Yeah, basically. Yeah, they tell you how to build 2, and then the rest of them, they're just like, figure it out, nerd. Oh, I get it. Because one's holding the banner, and the other one is the captain. Okay, I get it now. I was like, why did you only tell me how to build 2? They were just pointing out how to build the specific hero or whatever. That was a deep memory I wasn't expecting to come up today. Oh, Simpsons Hit and Run was the best. Real talk, a lot of the Simpsons games are fantastic. Yeah. Yep. I'm one of those people, I tend to not like games like Grand Theft Auto, but I love games of that genre where it's like not taking itself seriously and then not just trying to be gross with some stuff. So like, I love Red Dead Redemption. I love Simpsons Hit and Run. If you have not played it, it is chef's kiss. Perfect. And if you were an avid watcher of the show during their golden years, like seasons like 3 through 6, I would say, it's just nothing but nonstop references. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is the best. Let's see. Okay, looks like I may have missed some people. Battling my... Okay, so I'm kind of just hopping back up, but if I miss anything that you said, promise I'm not ignoring you, just go ahead and repeat it. Or your question or whatever. What are you? I have choices, and so I'm looking at the one I popped out first, and I was like, that is kind of ugly. Let's go with a different one. Let's see. Robert, speaking of Corvus, I don't remember saying it. I worked Nova Open 1 year and spoke with the game designer for Infinity. Oh, Corvus Belly, yeah. We spoke about comics and mangas and historical gaming. It was very cool. Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said, I don't... Oh, thank you. I just saw you repost it. Thank you. Yeah, there was a small scene that was like kind of coming around up north when I moved away. Well, it was up there, period, and then COVID happened, and so then it wasn't up there. And the store I walked into, I managed to get a guy to give me a demo. I walked into the store, and the store owner was like, congratulations, everything here is like 75% off. And I'm looking around, and everything's kind of bare. It was more of a board game place, which is not really my thing, rather than like miniature games. And apparently, like, this place was the main Infinity hub, and it was literally the last day the store was open. I was like, oh, I feel like I'm walking on a grave. The guy was super cool, though. He was super sweet. Let's see. Doug, those new Vigilar models look dynamic and way cooler than Judicators. I'm hoping so. You know, between them and, well, it wasn't affected by them, but the Celestial Huracanum, that kind of stuff. We're gonna, I think I got enough firepower now, at least in my collection, not so much my actual painted Path to Glory list, to give some Soulblight Gravelord players locally a black eye. My favorite, one of my favorite things from, I mean, just my time in the hobby. I used to listen to this podcast that was very popular when it was still on, called Independent Characters, which I'm sure many of you had. It was really one of the only 40K podcasts that I listened to. I still have one that I listen to, but I just really like the hosts. They were just cool guys. And so they were talking about kind of like how difficult it is to learn new armies and new units that your opponent brings. So like, for example, in this example he was giving, he had a Space Marines army, and his buddy got into the game and was playing Tyranids, right? Big, scary bug monsters. But if you don't know Tyranids, they don't look vastly dissimilar, right? Like different kinds of Carnifexes, they don't look very different. And so the host was like, what's that thing? And the guy just rattles off a bunch of stats. He kind of looks at another model, he's like, what's that thing? And then he just rattles off a bunch of stats. And then he kept getting trounced by Tyranids when they were at a point where they were very strong. And so he's like, well, then we just kind of engaged the arms race, and he went out and bought a whole bunch of like Space Marines with big old machine guns and stuff, anything to like directly counter the Tyranids across the table for him. And so as he's still playing those games, he's like, "What's that thing?" And he kind of goes off with the stats. He's like, "It's dead." I don't care what it is. I brought a thing to kill it, and I do not care, so it's just dead. And that's kind of how I am with Soulblight Gravelords, where it's like, there's so many synergies and like ways to get models back and minor heroes and ways, rules that interact with those kinds of things. And it's like, I can't keep track of that. What do I need to kill? That thing? Cool. Done. Oh, man. It's a very intense army, if you are not familiar with it. Hey Doug, if you feel like expanding your Stormcast Eternals, I think the Van Brecht Broken Realms box would be really fun. Oh yeah, let's take a look. What is... I can't remember... Age of Sigmar. Let's see, we got... Okay, we got Judicators. Looks like a thing of Castigators, Griffhounds, and a Lord... I don't remember what that Lord is. Veritant? Something like that. That's cool. Right on. I'm pausing right now on purchases for Stormcast just because I have so much. So, since the last time I was on air, I had a buddy, Jeremy, actually the Soulblight Gravelord player that beats me up all the time. He had some Stormcast that he was clearing out, and so I actually grabbed... Where did I grab? A bunch of Sequitors, because we thought it would be thematic to have Sequitors versus his Death Army, and they are quite good, I think, especially if you know you're playing against Soulblight opponents. If you don't know, they changed the way that the cask, the spirit flask or whatever that they all carry, they changed it in such a way that now models cannot be returned to units while they're within so many inches of this captain of the Sequitors. Which means if I get a unit of Sequitors stuck in with my opponent, I can deny him his regen ability, which is pretty massive. Now for this, there were two options when it came to that little insert thing, and so I'm thinking it's the other one that I need. But yeah, so I got a whole bunch of those. I'm up to 2 ballistas that they're built. They're just, well, one of them's built, one of them's on sprue. So they're also going to be part of the great priming that's going on this week. I don't really care for having just a metric ton of models that are just sitting around in plastic. I want to at least have stuff primed so that whenever I'm like, if part of what I've learned, if in case you are struggling to get motivated to paint, is having things be as easy and accessible as possible is key. So like, I am in a rush to build to get a metric ton of things primed. Why? So that whenever I sit down and I'm like, okay, I got a couple minutes and I'm feeling a little motivated, I can just immediately pick up a model and get going, right? And it's got to be that quick. It's got to be that simple. Let's see. Sequitors are still really good. For sure, I didn't know you already picked up more. Yeah, I kind of wasn't anticipating it. So I got, let me see. I got boxes right down here. Sequitors, a Lord Relictor, let's see. Oh, and then I got sorry, I'm kind of rattling around here. I got a bunch of Castigators, which is great, and then the Lord Celestin on Dracoth, like the OG leader unit guy from the original AOS box. So I got one of those because I was kind of surprised I didn't already have 9 because that's usually how it all went. Yeah, so I'm actually sitting pretty good in terms of reinforcements and stuff. Like I said, I've got more weapon options, and as much as I don't want raptors, like I've stayed away from them because I don't want to just lean into whatever is the easiest thing. My friend Rob locally is clearing out. He has the Warcry starter for Stormcast, which had, what was it? It was raptors, a thing of Vanguard hunters, and something else. And I was like, yeah, you know, if it's just sitting there, I'll take them, you know. But they're pretty low on my painting priority list. But it's one of those things. If I ever ended up, you know, going to another thing like Holy Havoc, some local event that's going on or something, I'd want to have something with a little more oomph, a little more gas in the engine, as it were. Okay, so let's put that to the side. Now let's clip out and plan the rest of our boys. I'm trying to catch up. There's conversation going on with that I don't understand as far as the video game stuff goes. Robert, really anyone outside of eBay, what is a good place to sell armies? So for selling armies, things that I've had good experience with are, what is it? The mini swap on Reddit has been really, really cool. And the only thing I would say about Reddit, whether you're buying or selling, just ask people to like have a picture of the date or something to verify that they're willing to put a little more time in, just for your own safety. And feel free to be like, I am sending this as a sale in PayPal, not to a friend. So you will lose some money when it comes to you for like their safety thing. That's a non-negotiable to me. Yeah, and that just, I don't know, just see how you feel. See if you get a vibe. Now I am thinking. Let's do the torso of the leader as they suggested it. So we're gonna do a few of these bad boys. Let's see. So we need to get this banner going so it has time to dry. This is, Conquest models, because they are bigger, they're not the same scale as 40K and AOS and stuff. They're already pretty chunky, and then this guy's banner is just this like, it's the side of a 40K tank. It's just this huge hunk of plastic. Look at that sucker. You could build a deck with it. Okay, 57 is the hand that holds it. Neat. Okay. Perfect. I think that's all I need for that one. And then and the weapon loadouts, I mean there are multiple kinds of arms and stuff, but they don't matter. Thing has exactly one profile. And then we need ourselves a jousting arm, which we're gonna go here. Oh, thank you so much, Wargamer Willie. I appreciate it, dude. These hobby hangouts are invaluable to me. Wish I could give more, because this channel is my zen place. Aw, thank you so much, buddy. Thank you. Hey, Willie, do you got a topic you want to chat about? Happy to do so. Okay, wait. So one of these arms, probably this one, is actually going to be. Let's plan this out. So he's got 4 arms. One's the banner. One is our joust. One's this, and now one needs to be a shield. Look at the shield options I got left. What did I do for him? Okay. Yes, so he will have this one. There's one unique shield, so I'm going to put that on the leader, just to make him pop a little bit more. If I had a question, it would simply be, how are things with Legacy of Atmos? Super excited to get involved with that. That's a great question. So if you don't know, me and 2 friends are designing a war game. Well, they had created most of it, and then I jumped on board as they were getting ready for a big relaunch. And so things are going well. We actually just... Oh, I see. Okay. Sorry, it confused me. They doubled the numbers so you know which side of the torso matches which, but I just kept seeing the same thing all over the sprue, and I was like, that seems like a bad idea. So it's good. So we basically redid the game to where it's much more narrative focused. So now, imagine you're playing a skirmish game, right? And you cannot help but to engage with the narrative. And so when I say that, what I mean is, you have asymmetrical objectives. You're trying to, do your thing, stop your opponent from doing their thing. And there are stuff like setting up a war camp. And so for one of them, and you can go in and do a tabletop simulator game. I'm actually hosting one tomorrow if you want to join me. But you can go in and, let's see. Okay, that's what I'm missing. I knew there was one more part. But yeah, you can go in and get a chance to see what it's like. Essentially, it's stuff like, before the game, lay out 3 objectives, and there's some rules about how close they can be together. Stuff like that you'd expect. And you're trying to achieve your objective at the same time as you have your objectives, your opponent has theirs. Scenarios are generated throughout the game. So every game round there can be 2 additional, almost like secondaries, but the secondaries do add points pretty rapidly. So if you just ignore them, you're going to tank hard. But yeah, it's going real well. We did a lot of testing for it, and it's up there now. If you want to go take a look, I would greatly appreciate it. Still working on lore stuff. I have a video coming out this week for one of the leaders for the Tellus commune, the kind of tree folk type army, and actually my favorite way to play the game. So I mentioned that they have bespoke ways of playing. Essentially, her thing is she wants to summon a bunch of stuff. There's a whole bunch of mechanics to get. You basically summon what are tiny little devious things called saplings, which, I guess if you need to make a 40k equivalent, think grots, I guess, or nurglings maybe. Small diminutive creatures that are just there to be cute and annoying. It's kind of, it exists in every war game, but this is ours. So summoning as many of those as you can. And so like you're in a race to summon 5 as part of your scenario, or your personal, objective of the game. And then once you summon 5, you then lay down 5 tokens across the board, and those become summoning points. So if you capture those objectives, you get a point, and also you summon another sapling. And so it's spamming what they want to do, which is just literally roll over anything that's in the woods. And it's a tricky one to balance, I won't lie, but it is an incredible amount of fun. because let's see. Sorry. I'm streaming now, and I just got a text from Vince Ventrella. It's like, so I'm watching your stream from Wednesday. I'm like, oh no, what did I say? Oh, I'm getting critique for my painting. We can hear critiques in real time, everybody. Let's see. Oh, I see what he's doing. He's watching me use the what's that called? The grime. AK Interactive. There we go. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. AK Interactive and giving me pointers. So yeah, anyway, I'm sorry, Willie. So to answer your question, Legacy Atmos is going great. You know, they were kind of in a real game test and design stage, and because they brought so many of the game concepts over from when they had initially designed the game, in terms of balance and stuff like that, I kind of felt a little out of the loop. Like I wasn't sure how to help or jump in, and so I've kind of just been chilling in the background a little bit, just working on lore stuff. And then we all basically agreed, like, okay, well, once we develop the core idea, the core engine of the game, which we now have, and then flush out all of the things that they had already wanted to do in the lore, then I can contribute more and start pushing new things forward. And to be transparent, that was 100% my idea, to be like, hey, this game should be exactly what you guys always wanted it to be. I came in late to the party, so like, let's get all your ideas that you had and were excited about. Let's get them out there. Let's. Oh, I get it now. They're opposites. So anyway, to that end, it's going quite well. Some might say swimmingly. I'm working on a map for the region. Didn't know maps were such a pain in the butt to make. BT dubs, they are. Yeah, and then, you know, I mean, like anything else, there's pros and cons to group projects. It's why they were both important to learn and do in middle school, and also the bane of our existence. You got to be willing to kill your darlings as it is. Let's see. Maxodons. Yes, Maxodons are our like elephant type race. They have a lot of inspiration from Indian cultures and that kind of stuff. They're like this spiritual, enlightened kind of a thing. They have a very cool backstory in the setting. So yeah, I like them quite a bit. They have some of the coolest models too. We are moving towards a more like play with whatever models you have, but of course, you know, for our own purposes and rulebooks and that kind of stuff, we'll of course have art and stuff depicting the models that we designed for the game. But yeah. Now here's the part that I find awkward, not about these models in particular, but any models where you have multiple distinct parts, like the horse body and then the torso on top. I feel the same way about, like, you know, this could easily be Griff Riders and the Stormcast riding them, where you have to build it like slowly, piece by piece, because you have to make sure that the angle that you're putting things makes sense, because you don't want to have like all the weapons like facing way too far down, because then he would look derpy, like he's fighting the earth. But actually for him, I am gonna lean him all the way forward and glue that in, just because he's gonna need that support for holding up this colossal mamma jamma banner that shook the world. Let's see. Are you using Incarnate to make these maps? These ones I actually went with a different system. What's it called? Wonder something. Wonder Draft. Wonder. I'm not quite sure. It's on my laptop. Otherwise, if it was on my screen here, I would just show you. But how easy is Atmos to jump into and learn? Pretty easy. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a demo tomorrow, and I'm probably going to record it, and I can just throw it up online. But yeah, it's it's the very simple. If you've played Warcry, it's not. I mean, it's very dissimilar from that, but in terms of like, it's a skirmish game. You select a model. You get 2 actions. Here's the list of actions you can do. Then your opponent activates a model, like that kind of thing. In the sense of like overall game concepts, it's nothing ground-shakingly radical. The biggest departure from it is just making sure that you understand how objectives work and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's not complicated. I don't know any other way to say it. I see what they did. So I made the mistake of thinking that they paired numbers together. So like if 2 things say 45, oh, that means it's the left and the right shoulder pad of a matching set. But that is not accurate. In fact, it is the opposite. There are 2 45s and there are 2 46s. You do a 45 and a 46. Which is just, it's a equally simplistic way of doing it, but if you don't say that. Let's see. Robert. Okay, I watched some of that. Oh, Warhammer Weekly. I was super shocked to see you on there. I've been on there, I think that was my 3rd or 4th time, something like that. Vince and Tom are awesome. Well, obviously Taylor was this time. But I've been on there when Tom is there. Those guys are a delight. Yeah, I'm going to glue this down by his ankle because this thing is just... He's got some big standard energy, big flag energy. That's what I'm going to call him. I'm going to keep my finger right there and hold it for a sec while he's drying. Viridian Forge. I'm in Utah, USA, currently working on finishing my first army. I have 4 more locked and loaded. Nice. That's so cool. Yeah, they were willing to accommodate me. I had to push back coming on Warhammer Weekly a week just to make some of my other plans that I had work and kind of reschedule a little bit. I'm so glad they did, because getting started in an army is so daunting, and it's always... I mean, it is daunting, but in a weird way, it's also my favorite time. Because when you're getting into an army, like, there's just literally nothing but potential, right? Like, this could be the next great project that you fall in love with, and you never want to build anything else. And conversely, it could be a dumpster fire from which there is no release, as is my experience with Skaven. Let's see, to be roughly a level. So there's a level. Okay, here we go. Doesn't have to be like dead set, but really, I watch so randomly. My bad. Oh, no. Yeah, it's all good. I usually go on just to talk about lore stuff. That's about it. Mainly because as a show, Warhammer Weekly tends to more focus on like the gameplay elements, and that's really my weak spot, if I'm honest. And I have nothing but respect for Vince and Tom as they approach, the more not competitive, but the more analytical. I think is probably a more apt word, because they both play things that are quote unquote subpar, right? But they play them because we're grown men playing with toys, and if you're going to do that, you might as well play with the cool ones, right? I mean, at the end of the day. So I appreciate that, but yeah, I love going on there as much as I can. It was a real freaking treat to be able to hang out with them just a little bit at Holy Havoc. For what it's worth, however tall you think Vince and Tom are, add like 3 inches. I think it's the desk. Mostly for Vince, it's the desk that messes with my perspective of like how tall he is. Let's see. Robert, my passion for AOS isn't what it was since the last edition, so I don't keep up with all this stuff as much. That's super fair. I was actually having a conversation with that about somebody. Have a conversation about that with somebody, not about somebody. That 3.0 to me is the biggest departure from what the AOS that I fell in love with is. As a game, I like other games more. I like Conquest as a game system more. But I love the AOS community, and I love the lore. I mean, I just the artwork that they do, and just honestly, just the sheer amount of releases that a company like GW can do. There's always some really cool things happening, and so it makes it easy to love. But whenever anyone says like, I'm just not feeling a new edition, I'm like, I get that, because it's not because it's bad, but because it's different. And every edition, you lose people, you gain people. It is what it is, and the company knows that. They understand. As long as you don't end up as one of those nerds who, announces their departure from the hobby because Games Workshop is too evil or whatever. No, okay, bye. It's pretty much what all of the internet says. But I know many people who have felt that way about 40K. I'm just like, it's just not what I fell in love with. I'm like, well, everything changes over time, man. That's totally cool. Better to leave the hobby with good memories than stay and just get angry. Actually, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put him on his base. Where did I put the base? There we go. See if we can get him to stand up nice and straight here. Do I have anything heavy? It's just this one guy is awkward because of the way that the horse legs are like trotting out. He's actually balanced on a little piece of grass that's like molded onto the back part of the leg. So he stands up weird, and then when you add the colossal weight that is this spear or banner, like, my boy has no chance of standing up straight. I'm gonna let him dry for just a hot sec. Let's see if I can get this shield on in a meaningful way. Mm-hmm. Need to get one of those. I have one somewhere. I was gonna say I need to get one of those GW like things where it like has like the little arms and stuff like that that you can like clip and kind of set a model and forget about it while it dries. Okay, I'm just gonna let that all needs to figure itself out before I do any more. I'm gonna hang out with the chat. Let's see. Same, the lore was awesome. Third, not really my favorite, but also the past few years, my love for gaming in the general has died a bit. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I've been an Infinity man for the past 7+ years and played random games of AOS in the GW game, but when I did play, I loved playing it. For sure. That's rad. Oh, Danny, hey buddy. I'm gonna try and assemble my first figures soon. I think I'm going with the Fire Slayers. Fantastic. That's awesome. Well, I hope that you enjoy it. You know, as long as you're building models that you think look cool and you're having a good time, you're doing it right. So don't worry about messing anything up. Let's see. Here we have our big leader head. You can tell because they have to stand out, otherwise they wouldn't be the leader. And some cool looking shields. But welcome to the hobby. It's very rewarding as long as you allow yourself to have a bit of fun. If you ask the question, oh man, did I just mess this up? The answer is no. There's a myriad of helpful places online to get any advice that you need. Right here is one of them. And honestly, it's probably a good time to start Fire Slayers. The only thing I would warn you is don't worry about grabbing their book quite yet. They're getting a new book here in just a little bit, and so you know, just hold off, just because I don't want you to waste your money. Go. Here's Boss Man shield. A shield arm, I should say. These go in his backpack. Here's the torso. So we just need the two lower arms. Oh, and the shoulder joints. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're cooking with fire now. That. And there's the last shoulder bit. All right. Thanks, man. I like their Chungus thighs. Yes. They got that in spades. Okay, let's see. You able to stand up now? Also take comfort in knowing that there's no mistake that you can make that probably 4 people in this community have not already made like that week. So never feel dumb. That's what I always tell people. If you're just like, you know, man, I really messed this model up. First of all, you can fix any model. You know, you can make it look good. There's ways. Don't panic. But there's something wholly special. Let me see if I can reach it. There we go. When you realize, like, oh yeah, I've been in the hobby for 30 years and I just drank like a huge gulp of, you know, paint water because I wasn't watching where my stuff went. And I put my paintbrush into my coffee. You know, I mean, thought I was grabbing blue, but it was actually green. Every dumb mistake. It's all been made before. I think I got it. It's a little awkward because it's a rounded edge at the top of shield, and so it kind of like the clip wants to naturally like slide to the side. Thanks for the helpful tips. I've been scouring the Reddit. Oh yeah, Reddit. I mean, there's a great community there on Reddit for sure. I used to be more active on it, and then I just kind of I reached a point where I was like, I am personally not 2+ of, but Doug. I get very overwhelmed by a lot of social interaction. Like, I'm very much an introvert, and so it just got to be a lot. And I was like, I just need to hop off some of these platforms, and so not on Reddit a ton anymore. But I'm okay with it. Good place though. I always had fun. Are dwarfs gonna have an equivalent in Atmos? Love fantasy dwarves, especially Warhammer Fantasy Battles, but I don't think the AOS ones really appealed to me. We are basically taking suggestions on all factions. Yeah, I could see that. How about this? I don't have one in the works, but I also like dwarves as a fantasy trope. So, yeah, in the future. How about that? I have nothing to actually share about what I want them to be like, but I do like dwarves, and so they're going to show up eventually. AOS Reddit is paradise compared to the 40k one. Oh, I've never been on the 40k one. Now, let me ask you about that. When you say that, is it because the 40k one is geared specifically towards a more competitive attitude, and therefore, like, you know, some new person pops in and like, hey, here's what I want to build, and people are like, that's terrible? Or is it more just like general negativity regarding everything? I mean, it's just everything. For Danny, you're going to hear people complain about Games Workshop, and you're going to be like, why? I like these models and I'm having fun. Don't worry about it. Not everyone's on board with, I don't know, being a decent human being. I don't know how else to word it. I mean, there are some reasonable complaints, but, you know, a lot of it you're just like, nah. Let's get this guy. think the front leg is really supposed to. There we go. Okay, let's give that a hot sec. That's super exciting here. Dwarves are definitely my favorite fantasy race. Yeah. Do I agree? I tend to think orcs are. Because even if a game doesn't have classic orcs as we know them, whatever the equivalent is, I always find interesting. So for example, like super mutants are their equivalent of orcs, I would say. I don't think I get a ton of protest against that, but you know, that kind of thing where it's like just the dumb brute idea. I tend to do really well thinking about that. It's the new mods having power trips. Oh, I'm not even going to comment on that. I'm thoroughly burned out from being a mod. Cool. Let's see. General negativity, the comp side is actually quite nice by comparison, the more casual side. It's interesting. So like and I want to make that very clear. I'm not saying competitive folks are negative. I don't think that that's a true statement. What I mean is if you have a whole group of people that is like if you have a local game group that's focused around, hey, we want to go to like Las Vegas Open and compete in tournaments of Warhammer. If you ask them their opinion on a unit, you're going to get a very different answer. It's not nice or mean, right? It's not that scale. But if you just happen to like the way a model looks and you ask them about it and they tell you it's terrible, you're giving you the honest answer from a place of caring that you do well at the event, not from a place of caring that you like that particular model. So you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that competitive players are rude in any sense. What I mean is they're just approaching it from a different angle. And you just have to be mindful of that. Just with anything, context is key with anything. And, you know, I would say, because I see that, Alistair, the competitive side is actually more welcoming than the lore side. I would say part of why it feels that way is because there is a singular focus. So when I say like, this is competitive, right? People can agree or disagree, but they all understand we're not going to know, first of all, until the tables hit the models hit the table and we actually test it. But then also, like, we share a common goal. If I say it's competitive and they don't think it is, they're going to correct me because they've had a different experience. But the thing when you get into talking about lore is why people approach stories and the emotional baggage that they bring with them into narratives and how characters act and respond in their dialogue and motivations, that gets so much more nebulous, right? So what is a perfectly lore-focused army to one person because they were really locked into, tunnel vision, locked into like, this is the story I want to tell, could to another person be completely lore-breaking and it's awful, it's an affront to the books and all that kind of stuff. So it's, I feel like that discrepancy of saying competitive people are the competitive side of the community is nicer. It's sort of an unfair comparison. You're coming at this for very, very different reasons. That's an opinion, of course, one of which you can disagree with. Go for it. But that's kind of how I approach it, and to that end, like, for that exact reason, because it is a super valid point, that is why, if you've ever reached out to me and said, hey, Doug, will you review this lore that I wrote? I always tell people, I'll read it, but I'm not going to tell you anything about it other than thumbs up, cool. Because I understand this is a nebulous thing. You have a story that you want to tell, and I refuse to be the person that says that is a bad story or that's not the story you should be telling. So it's just different. The competitive side typically values different things than the hobbying, painting, building. That can be true. I would definitely say it's not always, but I mean, like with humans, there are no absolutes. You can't say X people are bad, X people are nice, kind of a thing. Because people are complicated as all get out. And sometimes you meet the nicest person on the wrong day and they seem like an absolute ass. Which is typically, of course, when people meet me in real life. But it just happens. Much like all things, the side you're on is nicer than the other side. That's fair. I think, like a lot of life, that's true. That does happen a lot in the real world for sure. I'm not going to argue that. I think the more important thing, when you're approaching another player, is to be like, what are you trying to get out of this game? And I always try to understand that before people, when people ask for like advice on, anything, whether it's model related or painting scheme or whatever. What do you want out of this? And you have to understand that other people want other things. People who just really enjoy the game aspect of this hobby don't care about the painting requirements and might get salty that there are so many painting requirements. But that is there to accommodate the people who do like those kinds of things and so forth. So you just gotta be, it's part of working with other people, right? I mean, because functionally, the way that I perceive wargaming, I treat it like it's a group project. You and I are coming to a table to do a thing. It requires communication. I need to tell you my rules, you need to tell me yours. We need to agree upon when you roll a 6. Let me see it. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So it is very collaborative in that sense. Whether you're competitive or not, that's irrelevant. Because narrative games would be like, we're trying to tell a story. Competitive games are, I'm trying to win. But regardless of what you came to play, you both have to communicate and work together. And so in that regard, I think people don't necessarily appreciate that aspect of this hobby, capital H hobby, enough. Because I don't know how to delicately say this, so I'll just be blunt. You'll walk into an event and there are just some very socially uneducated people. I mean, it just happens with any group of people. I'm not even picking on gamers. You just have people who just don't receive body language and tone or understand how they convey themselves. And so you can walk away from an event saying like, oh, they were so competitive, everyone was such a jerk to me, whatever. When actually, maybe you just had a bad spread of people who were just really not fun to play with, period. It's not about competitive. It just were not fun to play with. So, I don't know. Let's see. Can I just dang it. I cannot get this stupid shield to hold in the right position. I just don't want it leaning on the sword. For a bit. I'm just reading. You guys are chatting with each other, and that's super cool. Please go with it. Ooh, bringing 40K into the discussion. That's always fun. Okay. This guy is a little different. He's got some extra hardware on his back. Let's go ahead and slap that on. Let's see. Sith are better. They get they get red lightsabers. Let's see. But yeah, I don't know. I know I got a little preachy there, and I apologize. But I was just remarking on that. When I first started the channel, I admit I was definitely one of those folks who like, oh, that's like a competitive gamer. I don't care. I kind of tuned out. And then it was because of my good friend Jack over at Reeling Ones and meeting some of these quote-unquote competitive people in real life that's like, no, they're just here for a different thing. Like, there is no better or worse or right or wrong when it comes to this. It's just we're not having the same conversation, right? Like, when I say this list makes sense for X reason, it's because we are just coming at this same thing. It's the same game, but for very different reasons and motivations and that kind of stuff. And so that is just always important. Wait, okay, so I got lost in the conversation, and all I see is ask 2+, he would know. And I'm like, I don't know what I would know. I don't know anything. Ask every cop in Iowa. Doug doesn't know anything. And if he does, he pleads the fifth. Okay, let's see. Alistair, a small group of 3 of us having a great start with Path to Glory campaign, although we encountered an issue and I could use advice. Go for it, dude. Fire when ready. I mean, I can't promise you I'm going to solve it. I'd ever make those promises, but I can listen and I can care. Danny at my local game store. They only have 40K nights, but I'm still going with AOS because I like the lore. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. What a great thing to share with someone you love, right? If I don't like hold him at this perfect angle while he's drying this little flag situation, tip all over the place. Scroll up more. Yeah, I'm not seeing a question. This is the hang. I'm digging this. Oh, yeah. That's all. I'm going to start going back to doing my weekly show called While You're Reforging, where I talk about like hobby news and stuff. But I always love doing these just super chill. Let's just hang out. See, this would actually be the perfect thing because these banners are nice and straight for these clips to be able to get a hold of. Maybe. If I can get the stupid handle to stand up straight. I think. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's about where I want it. Okay. Now we do the hardest thing, which is just to leave him alone and let him dry. Let's see. Omniphage. I always thought the competitive casual divide is a bit overstated. I would agree. Yeah, mismatched expectations. Exactly, that's what I was talking about. Yep. Master Shake started a new lore series explaining Horus Heresy lore using AOS analogies. Oh man, that would be amazing. Robert, you saw it? I don't understand, bro. 2+ stuff. So with the release of the Cruel Boys, but they didn't have sinks for the points, the territory they got free. Oh, I see. So it's a problem with the Path to Glory thing regarding Cruel Boys. Interesting. I have not, I have their battle tome, but I have some bone splitters coming my way, and so they would use the same system. So let me review that a bit. That takes a little bit of reading for me. A little bit more than I can do right now, just with this setup and waiting for things to dry. But I will check that out. That's very interesting. So he's already ahead on points, and we don't know what to do when he starts getting ahead further. I would say, yeah, I have to check. I have to check the way that works, because it doesn't sound right. Omniphage, have you ever tried Molotow paint for priming? It goes through an airbrush really well. Nope, I have not. I actually don't even own an airbrush anymore. I have the compressor still, but my airbrush is kaput. Oh wait, can I use his? Nice. I have one guy's lance balancing to hold up the other guy. Warhammer Willie. I don't know if anyone saw, but I have a 2+ hoodie. It's amazing. Thank you so much, buddy. When I went to Nova and saw people wearing the 2+ stuff shirts, it just kind of confounded me. I had to stop and ponder my life choices for a minute. Of just it's crazy. Never thought I would achieve anything like that. So in their battle tome, it says when they roll for their territories, they get them for free. Oh wait, I actually do have my book next to me. I thought that was the Magakin one. Hold on one sec. Do not spend any glory points. Okay, so they ransack them. Follow ransacking rules. Let's check it out. Okay, when making exploration roll, the roll. How does that work? In order to ransack a territory, you must complete the ransack quest. Let me look here. So, Alistair, I'm already seeing some things here. Okay. So, going with some of your earlier messages, they get territories. Sorry, they don't have point sinks. They don't have sinks for the points. The territories they get for free, and don't spend points to upgrade one. They actually cannot upgrade territories. It says very clearly. You don't spend any glory points to control them, so you can do so automatically. Secondly, these territories cannot be upgraded. Instead, they can be ransacked. In order to ransack a territory, you must complete the ransack quest, page 96, or win a major victory when playing the Tornado of Destroy. Okay, so what's the quest is what it is. Ransack. Pick one territory you control. It can be ransacked to follow the instructions. And follow the instructions for ransacking it on the Auric War Clan's territories table. Where in the hell is this territories table? That's it. Okay. So in their battle tome, it says when they roll for territories, they get them for free. Yep, got that. It also says you cannot upgrade them. And I'm trying to figure out the thing for ransacking, but what am I missing? Because, like, they allude to this mechanic called ransacking, but ransacking only appears on these specific things. Let's see. When making an exploration roll, if the roll is 61 through 66, that roll will correspond to a territory on the table below, obviously. Alternatively, you can pick one result from the territories table in the core book that corresponds to a roll of 21 through 42. Okay, so they can apply these things, or yeah, they can just pick whatever result because they can't upgrade them. Some of these territories allow you to send a unit to them. A unit cannot be sent to more than one territory in each aftermath sequence. A unit cannot be sent to more than one territory in each aftermath sequence. Any such units cannot be picked for the Borderlands territory in the core book. Yeah, this doesn't make a dang bit of sense. Okay, let me read this to you and I'll show you why I'm having trouble with this as well. When you make an exploration roll, pick a territory. 98. Hold on, I'm just double checking. Right, so like everybody else, they can pick from those. I don't know. I think this needs some FAQ. It's in the battle plans. So they have a quest where you can pick a territory and ransack it. There just doesn't seem to be anything that tells you, like, there needs to be like a ransack result table or something like that. Like, damn. Why is this so complicated? Okay, Tornado of Destruction is the one that was mentioned when it came to... They can ransack one territory. What in the ever-loving hell are you talking about? So all of these ones are very specific in that, you know, you have a territory and then you can choose to ransack it and then you get a benefit, which is cool. Okay? But I'm just not seeing a whole... So you can, in the core book, that corresponds to a rule. You can pick one result from the territories table in the core book that corresponds to a roll of a 21 through 42. I don't know. I don't have a dang clue. I need someone smarter than me to explain it. It doesn't sound right, but... Well, so you say it has something to do with ransacking, okay? And you're right, that mission does, but specifically, it allows you to ransack a territory, but the actual wording for what ransacking means for any territory outside of those D66 ones back here, outside of these 6, is not super clear. Because, like, it has rules for, like, vandalizing, like, an objective on the table, but that's not the same thing as, like, your path to glory mechanic of corrupting or vandalizing something. Yeah, this has to do with terrain features, nothing to do with, like, the... I don't know. I would just double check that. It's a little clear. I mean, you would hope that Path to Glory things would be written in such a way that they're pretty intuitive just by looking at them, and that is certainly not one of them. All I know is infinitely getting free territories and the ability to upgrade them seems a bit too good, and if nothing else, you can't upgrade them. How about that? Call that a consolation prize. And see, we've got our last guy here. All the Avatara are almost done. I'm so excited. I do love these models. A cool Adibit. Genetically created centaurs that are, like, loaded to the gills with weapons. Yes, please. Ta-da. Okay, cool. So our problem isn't the mechanics of the ransacking, it's that their territories don't cost them anything and reward them more glory points, and we're already down points and he is up. You know, Alistair, I'm sorry, dude, I have to read it offline. I can't focus on what I'm doing now and that at the same time. Something doesn't sound right about that. So, I don't know. That's my gut reaction, is like, that just does not sound right. But I'm very limited in who I play Path to Glory with. It's mostly Soulblight, so with the exception of their White Dwarf things, we haven't had a whole lot of opportunity for confusion. Let's see. Okay. Are we looking here? Let's drop that arm just a smidge. Here we go. Perfect. She's a beaut. I love it. Let's see. Anything up in the chat that I missed? No, not yet. Okay, and he's good. 1, 2, 3. All right, now I can finally toss some sprues out. Well, thanks anyway. It just seems weird that the biggest thing to spend glory points on are free to the orcs. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I understand that they're free. It just, there's something missing there. And I'm not saying that you guys are reading it wrong. I'm saying that I am personally not understanding with my quick glance as I'm sitting here trying to do a live stream. So I'm not accusing you guys of like, you're messing this up, it's clear as day. Like, nothing like that, I assure you. I always approach rules questions, you know, with my shoulders in the pre-shrugged position, just ready to be like, oh. But you're right, it is a huge point, a glory point sink. So then what else do they do with them? Besides buy more troops and win. Okay. So we're at what, 6:15, hour and a half into our stream. All right, friends, I think I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I'm going to spend some time with the missus. It's been a long week, and I miss her. Okay. Well, I got a solution to our problem. If we all start playing the Conquest version of Path of Glory called Path of Conquest, it's much simpler. We don't have to worry about those kinds of things. Okay. I think I am good to go. This guy, that Lance, just needs to chill for a bit, so I'm just going to let him go. Thank you all so much. Exactly, that's what we're all scratching our heads. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm with you. I guess I'm just more like, there's some poorly written thing here. It should be very easy to read, but I'm having trouble just understanding some basics of it. So I'm just like, you know, whatever. I don't know. This was fun. Hope you and your missus have a great evening. Thank you so much, Danny, and good to see you in the hobby, friend. I will catch you all very, very soon. And I have a week full of content for you guys that is so juicy. You're going to love it. So anyway, I will see you during that.